Hey everybody, Walmart Rob with you guys coming live. Hope everybody's doing good. None of you guys are up and running right now, most likely, but decided to do a live video with you guys and yeah, update you on some certain things. As you can see, I'm doing a pre-trip right now, and we're gonna be doing. I have some time right now before I start my clock, so I want to, up to date you guys since I'm in an empty parking lot and I got plenty of space to go around the truck. So come on, follow me. So as you can see today, we're going to talk about a little bit on what to be looking for during uh, not your interview, but your over the road test. They're gonna ask you to do a pre-trip. A lot of you guys have done a pre-trip, and I think one of you guys told me that a road test with Walmart, but you guys forgot to say everything you were doing during the pre-trip. Again, don't forget to say everything you're doing, whatever you're checking out. Make sure you tell the person that's doing the road test with you. Tell them everything you're pointing out to them. So follow me. I'm gonna show you what pretty much we're looking for. So as you can see right out from the front of the truck, always you want to make sure right at this point that you tell them we're looking at the headlights and the four-way markers. We want to make sure that those are working properly and there's no turn it around so you can see, and there's none of the lights are out. And while we're at it, down below underneath the ground, we have no bearing wires hanging. We see no oil leaks, no nothing. Our license plate is mounted correctly with 2 bolts on there holding it to our bumper. Again, our bumper is not falling off. There's no corrosion. There's nothing wrong with the bumper. It is intact completely. And at this point, we're going to walk over to the front of the side of our truck on the driver's side. As you can see, I'm running a Cummins engine in this truck today. Right now, from what we can see right here, we're going to look at all the hoses. We're looking at every hoses, all the compartments, making sure that we have no leaks, that everything's attached the way it's supposed to be at. That we have no drippage on our turbos. We have all our hoses are not leaking, our reservoirs are not leaking, the caps are on there tight. We have no leaks on our fuel dispenser. This one's actually dirty. As you can tell, I'll let them know at the shop when we PM here. Filters. Let me get this closer. Let me see if I can turn on I wonder if I can turn on the lights here. No, it doesn't let me do that. Oh. Sorry guys, there was no lights here. I should have brought my flashlight out here. But basically, we're going to be doing just a normal pre-trip. So we just want to make sure that we tell them about our leaf springs. Our leaf springs are not cracked. They're not welded, and they are being held up intact with their proper bolts to the frame. Again, at this point, we're going to go inside our brake area. Basically, we have no corrosion, no rust, no nothing on the brake area. We have no leakages, and there's no debris inside the drum area to keep the brakes from working properly. Also, you want to check at this point right here. You want to make sure you tell them about the brake chamber and the slack adjusters. We're looking at them and we're pulling on them. Everything is intact. There's no more than half an inch of play at this point. At this point, also, I want to touch out, grab the belts, make sure that there's no it's not loose, and we're making sure that the belt is on there correctly, and all the fan blades are on there, and the belt has no more than half an inch of play either. Now we're going to come out to the tire. Can everybody see the tire? The tire is working correctly. It's not unevenly weared. There's no bubbles on the outer tire or the end of the tire. It's all correctly. All our bolts are intact. There's no welding on the rim, and there is no debris, no oil spills. The hubs are clean. So this is a thumbs up right here. So now you're gonna walk over. You're gonna make sure that our DEF cap's on there. You still check it. Make sure it's on there tight. There's no leakages or anything. Battery case, which is right next to the DEF, is on there securely and is strapped on there perfectly. We're just gonna put that thing back up. Next thing you do, you open the door. We want to make sure that all the weather stripping is on the door. Make sure it's all correctly on there. So once we do that, we let them know that everything is intact. The door frame, there's nothing obstructing the area, and it's nice and good. Just close this door. Fuel caps. The fuel cap is on there. There's no leakage, and it is. At this point, we're looking at the marker lights on the truck. They are working properly. We're gonna come back here, and I did turn on the light here. And we're gonna look underneath, and the straps are on the tank, securing it properly. There's no illegal welds, nothing on there. So that is on there pretty nice and tight. Now from there, we're gonna move over to our glad hands. Typically, you wanna make sure before you connect them that you pull them off and you check the inserts on them. Make sure that they're not cracked, that they're not ripped or anything. You wanna make sure they're on there nice and tight so we don't have no air leakages. You wanna make sure that our 7-prong light connector is on there. There's no debris other than the electrical grease that's supposed to be on there, nice and tight. Same thing with our. As you can see, she's on there nice and workingly. Also on the trailer, nice and good. At this point, don't leave the back of the trailer, guys. Something that a lot of you guys make a mistake on, and I've been told. You want to make sure at this point, you guys see this metal box, guys? Make sure you open it. This counts for a lot of points. At this box right here has the registration to the trailer. You want to make sure that that registration is in there and it's up to date. And the way you find out, it's right here. All you got to do, it's just read them off. You know something? Here goes the inspection. Here goes the operating permit trailer, the registration, and you close it and you let them know it is up to date because it has been inspected already by the shop. Right here, tracking inspection. So everything's here. This is up. Do not leave, guys, without checking this first. Again, Cass, you probably have already done this. If you did your physical, good job, man. At this point, we're gonna be looking at. Oh, thank God! It finally shut up. APU. Again, you guys know about your wheels. Make sure that your wheels are intact. That all your bolts are on there. Make sure that there's no leakages on the outer of the tires. Make sure again there's no bubbles on your tires. And you do want to check. Make sure your apron. Your apron is touching on your fifth wheel at this point. That all the bolts, there's no illegal welds on your fifth wheel where it's sitting and it is intact correctly. Again, you guys remember I told you guys never ever go underneath the trailer. I'm gonna tell you where to properly stand when you're inspecting the bottom of the trailer. You see where I'm at the last rear dual of the trailer, of the truck. All you got to do is whatever you can see visually from, make sure there's no cracks or bends on the cross members of the trailer. You know, make sure everything is intact. Make sure your landing gear is intact and it's in the home. The cradle is in the home position at all time, and you want to make sure that your landing gear is not on the floor. Very important, guys. Very important. Also, remember your lighting. Make sure your lighting's working back here properly. Make sure your mud flaps are intact, guys. Mention it, even though it's not. They don't ask it. It's a good reason for being. You want to make sure that if you're bobtailing, you better have mud flaps, or else you will be ticketed. Again, if you're bobtailing and you have no mud flaps, you will be ticketed. At this point, you're going to be inspecting the top corner of the trailer. Make sure that amber light's on, and you're going to make sure that all the DOT stickers are on the trailer, all the way back. Minimum is 3/4 of the way. That's DOT regulation, 3/4 of the way minimum. So I'm inspecting, making sure that the truck and trailer is 3/4 of the way. Make sure my amber light's working for my 4-ways. You want to make sure that your skirts are intact and they're not dragging anywhere. Very important, guys, also. So keep walking with me. Come with me. Keep coming. This point right here, we'll be checking the same thing on these wheels, making sure that that our tires, you know, are not bubbled, that there's plenty of tread. Again, for trailers, guys, it is 3:30 seconds. Remember that, 3:30 seconds. And I'm sorry, I take that back. Somebody corrected me. It's 2:30 seconds. Drives are 3:30 seconds. Remember that. You don't have to say it, but it is just for yourself to keep it on tag. Making sure, again, that we have all our bolts are intact. Make sure that there's no debris on the thing, that we're not leaking any hub grease or hub oil. These have hub oil in them, so making sure that none of this stuff. Again, we don't crawl on the bottom of the trailer to check if the brakes or anything. We're not allowed to go underneath there. Remember that, guys. So you've already checked everything. You want to also make sure your mud flap's intact at this point right here, because it is visible. So once you check this and you let them know what you're doing, you're telling them all the bolts are intact on the mud flap, and that everything is going good. So we start walking. We're checking the ABS lights. Make sure you turn all your lights on. Make sure that this light is off. It doesn't mean that it's not working. It just means that, you know, your system is working correctly. So again, you always check everything. Another thing, dude, that a lot of guys miss, and it's a very simple one. Make sure your license plate lamp light works. Very important, guys. You guys have to make sure that it all works at all time. Again, you're gonna step back and you're gonna check all the lights are working properly. You're gonna make sure that the top lights are working properly, and you know your DOT stickers are on the bottom of the frame. And you're gonna make sure that your trailer is not physically damaged at this point. Also, the back door. Keep walking with me, guys. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully great. So we are going to do the same thing here. As you can see, I started the trailer. The light's working, and the DOT stickers are all the way down on this trailer. I've already inspected it before I did this video, guys, so making sure that we are up to date. Again, mud flap. Make sure all the bolts are on there, holding it on securely, and it's not dangling or hanging, you know, on the trailer. Same thing we did on the other side with the tires. You want to make sure that the tires are not bolted. They have no air bubbles on the sides, and they have good thread on them. And you want to make sure that from here, you can do it if you want to. At this point right here, you can tell them, you can send them on either side of the trailer, tell them, you know something, I can see that the brakes are on there, you know, and I don't see any debris or any corrosion on them, and they are at least, you know, quarter of an inch on each brake pad from here. That's the minimum that we're allowed to have, is a quarter of an inch. Remember, on these brake pads, anything below that, they have to be replaced. Also, make sure from this point that if you see any glazing on the brakes, that you let him know. Pull these trailers out onto the street, because they will start smelling really burnt. I pulled one before. So we check the trailer, make sure all the bolts are on the tires. You know, there's no leakages on the hubs, that the hubs are all intact. You know, it's not leaking any hub oil. So, oh, who's on board with us today? So while they send the message across, see who's online. So once we do that, we move on to the trailer again. You're gonna inspect all your DOT stickers on here, making sure they're on. We keep walking. We want to make sure this light is working. It's one of your four-way markers, so it's got to make sure. Also, any damage to the trailer. At this point, we want to make sure there's no damage to the trailer. So we keep going. Again, we're inspecting our wheels, our mud flaps, making sure the bolts are on there nice and tight and they're not dragging. We're going to do the same thing for the wheels and tires, making sure all the bolts are on there nice and tight. Make sure that there's no debris. Our tires are up to thread, and you know, pretty much no air bubbles. That's very important on the outer walls. No air bubbles. We just give it a quick look on the apron, make sure that we have no gaps in between our fifth wheel and our apron, and it's always intact. No daylight, guys. No daylight. If you have daylight between your apron and your fifth wheel plate, you did not couple correctly. So. And we're checking, making sure that our tractor, there's no illegal welds, all the bolts are holding on tack. We walk across, and we're just checking, making sure that there's no debris on our catwalk or nothing obstructing it. Also, we're gonna make sure that our brackets on our fuel tank at this point are on there securely. Sorry about the noise, guys. I'm right next to the APU. Again, we were going to double check the trailer on top, making sure that amber light's on, which it is, guys. I made sure of it. So keep walking with me, guys. Keep walking. Right now, I'm on the side of the truck and the trailer on the passenger side, and as you can see, all the lightings are working at this point. All my mirrors are intact. Everything is working. The top amber lights are working on my truck. And I'm checking my side of my compartment right here, where the engine is at. I'm going to make sure that all my hoses are intact. They're not leaking again. Turbo's working correctly. And, you know, we are ready to rock and roll. Again, we're going to do the same thing for this tire. Making sure that there's no bubbles on the tire, making sure that both sides are correct, that we have plenty of thread on it, and we're going to make sure that our hubs are not leaking and our bolts are intact. Everything is good, guys, at this point. So, guys, if you're doing your road test for Walmart, take your time, guys. There's no pressure on how long it takes you to do a pre-trip for them. The longer you take, the more time you take on it, the better it is all for you. The less that you guys are gonna be stressing out. You know, have fun. You'll be surprised. Well, taking time a little way goes a long way at the end. So, right now we're gonna go ahead and push this. As you can see, I let it go. Cascadias have that thing where they sit by themselves. You want to make sure that before you go into the truck that we lock it. Oh. Give me a second, guys. This one's actually playing naughty. Okay, here we go. Give me a second, guys. He doesn't want to play nice. All right, it did close now. Weird. I've never had that problem until right now. So we're just locking making sure we're locking the hood, so hood doesn't break when we're going or fly off when we're going down the thing. All right, guys, let's go inside the truck. Something that a lot of us don't do. And let me set this thing here somewhere. Let me set the camera down here somewhere. We're good. Let me turn some lights on here. Alright, guys, so at this point right here in the truck, we want to make sure we check. It's called the in-cab inspection. Typically you would check your triangles, your fire extinguisher, and they are in the side compartment, located in the side compartment for safety reasons. Walmart does it that way. But in here, we want to check all our gauges. So typically, you want to make sure at this point that you guys. Let me turn on the key. Put the key to the on position at this point, and make sure that all the gauges cycle, as you can see. And pretty much you're going to see that I'm low on air on my secondary tank. Let's go ahead and fill it up. So we're gonna go ahead and tell them what everything is. This little gauge over here, guys, a lot of you guys don't know it, and sometimes we fail to tell them what it is. This is your suspension gauge. It's for weight purposes. So let me show you. Weight purposes. Typically it tells you what your weight is on your drive axles. Anything above 60 you want to worry about, because you might be overweight on your drives. So at this point you want to make sure out your RPM gauge, making sure that it is working. The way you checked it is that you turned it on, you put the key to the on position, and it cycled and it told you. Again, we have our heating, our temperature gauge, fuel gauge, tachometer, or your mileage gauge, oil pressure gauge down below, primary, secondary air tank, and it is all working. And at this point, guys, you guys want to make sure that you test out your AC too. Turn it on. Tell them that you're turning on the AC to make sure your AC is working properly. You want to make sure you turn on your defroster. Make sure your defroster is working properly also. And you got to tell them what you're doing at all times. Also, you want to make sure you tell them that, hey, I'm turning on my wipers. I want to test to make sure that they are working properly at this point. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's a simple process that you got to tell. As long as you're talking with them and interacting with them, you will be fine. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell, so you're always up to date with all these videos. So you guys know the process. This is Walmart Rob, out.